now, the Multiple Births Association, is going to tell us how to cope with 2 or 3 or more children.
I found out when I was about 10 weeks. No, actually it was 17 weeks pregnant. I found out that I was having twins and found out through the scan. And my immediate reaction was, oh goodness. But I was extremely happy at the time. I sort of joked all the way through the pregnancy that I was either having a baby elephant or twins actually, and never dreaming it was going to be twins. And anyway, that was that. So I raced around to my husband's work straight away and told him about it, and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry or but we were all really, really extremely happy.
Did you suffer from any postnatal depression?
No, I was lucky. I've not ever suffered from it, but I do know girls who've quite seriously had postnatal depression.
I really did have a rather severe case of what was, diagnosed finally as a postnatal depression. And although I would have thought I would have been the least likely person to have that kind of difficulty, there I was, and very tired and very upset. And whereas now I see myself as very capable with the babies, then I wasn't. I wouldn't accept it. I just said to myself, no, this is silly, you're not going to do this anymore. You're going to wake up tomorrow and things are going to be different, but they weren't. And so Ken had called our obstetrician a couple of times, very concerned about me, and he was a lovely, lovely doctor from beginning to the end, and I eventually just had to say, yes, I have this problem, and I did accept treatment, and from that day forward, we never looked back.
I didn't realise before I had them that I was entitled to get help from the council prior to the birth, which, with hindsight, perhaps I should have had.
We did have some outside home help with cleaning, but I'd say that was the least of our worries. We really needed help with the babies.
Well, there's been a lot of babies around at that time, so clothing and cots and pushes and all those sorts of things were available, not as a twin situation, but as a single situation. Mm-hmm. So that was financially was a great asset.
You are in a heap of financial trouble when you first come home with babies and getting 2 of everything, even if you've already got 1 lot. All of a sudden you've got to get another lot. And if you can't borrow it, that's an awfully big expense.
What about when you got home? Was your husband supportive? Was he able to help you a lot with the babies?
Yes, he did at first. He works very long hours. He leaves about 6 in the morning and gets home at perhaps 7 or 8 at night. So there wasn't a lot of actual help. I suppose the main help was that he made no demands. He was very happy to have pizza or roast chicken, takeaway chicken, or his mother's casserole, or sandwiches, anything for tea. And he didn't care what the house looked like. We had someone come in for 4 hours a week to do the vacuuming and the dusting, and that kept him happy.
Rhonda, how did you manage with the 3? Was your husband a help to you?
Yes, he was a great help, but had to work. And reasonably long hours, not as long as Lynn's, but quite long. But my mother was with us for 6 months, which was a tremendous help, and without her I wouldn't have coped.
You had plans of doing things around the house when Mum was having the babies in hospital, and it just doesn't happen like that. The time commitments are so great that everything else takes second place.
So you have to be tremendously realistic about it and not worry.
You've just got to accept that this is the family, and that's the hassle today. Let's forget about what we were going to do, and we've got to do something else.
Yeah. Adjust your standards of living or your lifestyle to suit. Otherwise, you just become a nervous wreck.
How do they relate to other kiddies outside their family?
Well, they don't relate terribly well with other children. I found that we didn't get out very much with them. Other people tended not to bring their children to our home because they felt I already had enough on my plate. So they didn't get to see a lot of other children. It's only now in the last perhaps 6 months that I've been organised enough to get out to playgroups. But most of the time they just cling to me. They tend to be very shy and aware that other children are there, but they don't know what to do with them, and they just play side by side or in a circle.
We spent a lot of time out in the first couple of months. I found it much easier to be out of the house than to be in it, And actually the first event I went to was an Amber morning coffee when they were 6 weeks old, and I left them there while I went to see my doctor. And that was wonderful to get out again without them. I spent a lot of time out. I found it much easier to cope. And now when we go out, the girls are 18 months old. They like to know where Mum is, but they're very happy to go and play with other children.
They play well in pairs and revoltingly in a three situation. It doesn't matter whether you've got the twins together or Anthony and one of the twins. That seems to work out reasonably well, but put the three of them together and there always seems to be a fight.
It was hard, but it was really worth it.